Give me just a second, everybody. I always try to make sure that I'm sharing out the show over to my original page before I start everything. This is Breaking the Cage. This is Astrology TV with the Matrix Mind Media. And this is for... We're getting ready to start October, people. Wow, this year has gone by fast. There's been so much going on this year. But it's been like January, February, now. It seems like to me. This is September 25th to October 1st, and we had a new moon today. So we're going to get into what is coming forward and what we want to look at as far as the blueprint, the astrology, what Spirit is giving me and reminding us as we're entering into... Technically, it's like entering the fourth quarter of the year. So where we're going and how we're going to finish up this year, and are we on the right page? That's a big part of the picture here. Are we on the right page? Are we trying too hard to be perfect? Are we holding on too much bitterness and blame? Are we trying to be too stubborn and inflexible? That's about a lot of the big picture as we start to evaluate what's going forward. But before I get into all of the astrology and the blueprint and all of that, I want to always do what, as I think Matt said it before, pay the bills. Like I said, because this is a branch, Astrology TV is a branch of the Matrix Mind Media. And I am so thankful that Matt allows me to come on and share it with you all. And so this is definitely coming from Matt as well as the Matrix Minds. And what I mean by that is, you guys have heard Matt say a million times, he does everything strictly on donation. And I am always reminding everybody, if you have the extra money to give, to send to Matt on that, please do so. If not, he doesn't say it enough. He does have his swag shop. He does have his swag shop where you can get t-shirts, hats, different things like that, and so forth. So you can always find that information on anything that's of the Matrix Minds, but I also have it in the description box here. So you could go to his specific website and look up information, as well as it will take you to the swag shop, because he does get his portion of all of those t-shirts and everything that he's designed, which definitely helps him as well. Make sure that he's buying, the most up-to-date stuff so he can bring the Matrix Minds Media to you. With that being said, I want to remind everybody that I do have my personalized moon phases coming out. They've already been out. I brought them out last month. I had a couple clients come through with them. I believe that they very much enjoyed them. But we're coming into Halloween. We're coming into October. The veil is thin. Let's be honest, the veil pretty much is gone. But it's that time of year, and all the weirder things start popping up. Let's be honest. It's also, according to many different mythologies, many different cultures, more of the new year already. So we're looking at it from that point of view. And with it coming into Halloween season, I do have the moon phase workshops, which is individual. It's you and me, period. It's not like a workshop that I have for 10 different people. I pull your chart, your transiting energy. I go through a session with you directly, and I look at what is going on with the moon phases, where it's most appropriate for you to understand what the actual lesson is here versus where you are and what you're trying to do, and help you figure out your ritual work and help you figure out, just how to walk through this energy so that it's the best it can be for you. So it's very individualized. It is definitely set up to be one-on-one with each and every one of you. It is not some generic moon phase work that I just put out there according to the ideas. This is the new moon, this is full moon, and no. This is directly all about you, my dear. So if you're interested in that, you can check out my page, and you can look into either getting one of the moon phases or the two. Technically, there are 8 moon phases, but I know most people really generate towards the new moon or the full moon, and we kind of work on the in-between. With that being said, those of you who do follow me, you also know that I do Monster on a Pyre with Kelly, which is what I usually do the Thursday Weekly Thunder is who I usually do the Thursday Weekly Thunder when we're pulling out the collective information that we give, typically each week, unless something comes up and we have a situation. I just did it again. It just reminded me I have to move somebody's appointment around because last week I had to cancel. I had an appointment set up at that same time. So I'm going to have to adjust that. But Kelly and I do on Thursday at 10 o'clock live. Typically, unless something comes up, we do Thursday Weekly Thunder where we're pulling out what the information that we're being given from our guides. We're doing some tarot. We're giving a collective consciousness information. And then if you want more personal, you can either get something for a small fee or you can, let us know and book a real appointment with one of us for work in some level or another, because during the collective, we kind of are going through it quickly and we don't have time for major work. But with that being said, I also do Monster on a Pyre with Kelly, where we are more or less sanctifying energy to help us release what no longer serves us and to back build with fire and strength so that we can, move forward in the best, healthiest way without holding on to any of that doesn't serve us. We are preparing another Monster on a Pyre, and I know Kelly has something else up her sleeve that we will be working on. So keep an eye on my page, because as we enter October, you will start hearing more about that. As well as I do have what I call the angel rays. It's the rays of light readings. So a lot of people are always like, are you a second ray? Are you a first ray? Are you indigo? Da 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 da. And a lot of people are in this concept and this idea. Well, if you look into the rays, your true rays of light, which is also in your astrology, I can tell you truthfully if you are, and I can tell you all the different rays that you are part of, as well as who your angelic team really is in those specific areas. So if you're interested in that information, check out my page. Now, with that being said, let's jump into this week. Wow. We are going into the fourth quarter. And they're more or less what they just gave me is, it's like we're entering the end zone. We're entering the end zone here. And this is the time that it counts, is what they're giving me. This is the time that it counts. You are definitely going into testing of energies. Now, some of these planets are going to be coming out of retrograde. I do not have that information directly in front of me. However, at the moment, you do still have pretty much everybody all up in retrograde. Mercury is not the only one here, but Mercury is helping define that mind chatter, because you have Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, Uranus, all of them are in retrograde. So this is a lot of inward talking, not to mention, I believe it's Chiron and Vesta, which, are along the lines of the asteroids and the dwarf planets. They're also in retrograde. So we have a lot of super inward talking. We've just had a new moon today, this afternoon, or it was this morning, I can't remember, where it actually took place. And it took place in Libra. Now that has a lot to say about what the new moon phase is. And it's important because it's not just a new moon. It's not just a moon phase. In Libra, you're coming to an eclipse on your next new moon. In Halloween, in October, Samhain, at the most, as they just said, most rambunctious energy as spiritual energy is going. And there's been so much negativity out there, so much low vibrational, and it's because it has to wash out. And if the vibration of the planet's going to move up, then that funk has to come out. It just does. And we have to be able to understand a big portion of. And I was doing Psychic Sunday today at the Grove. It's where I work here, also in Fredericksburg, Virginia. And so we were having a big psychic event going on today. And I noticed it today. It was coming up over and over and over again. And I feel like I'm supposed to be mentioning it right now before I get into the rest of the astrology, the blueprint, all that stuff. Is there comes a time that you have to understand. We always say try to rise to be the better person. Try to ascend and mature, spiritually evolve. Okay? But sometimes it is about rising and being the better person. But sometimes it's also, you're at a point where, can you still idly sit by and try to lift your vibrations when you know it's a situation that is unable to truly rise, unable to truly grow? And meaning sometimes you have to be taken out of one place and placed somewhere else. It's like they say, sometimes when a door closes, another one opens. Sometimes if you're sitting here in the doorway, you're going to miss that other door simply because you were afraid to walk over here. And what I'm saying is you're going to have to start evaluating your true understanding, examining if what you're doing, the situation, the people, places, and things that you're part of, are you rising? Are you able to rise and be the better person here? Or is it actually harming you? Meaning, are you lying to yourself to keep yourself in one place while you're thinking that you're trying to be the better and be a leader here and help show the leadership, show the right way? It's just like they just showed me a meme that I put up a week or so ago, which was like a lion, and behind the lion is a cub. And it says, I was ready to give up until I saw who was watching. And what I'm saying is, sometimes you feel like you want to give up, but you're rising, you're still trying to do the right thing. But sometimes it's not that you're giving up, it's that you literally need to move in another direction. And trying to rise in a place is not going to happen because it needs to shift. So you need to start examining if some of that is what is really going on in certain areas of your life. Because I've had it come up again and again and again in the last year, honestly, but today, ridiculously. And I want to place that on you because we have the new moon and Libra. Libra is all about the sign Libra is all about harmony, balance, and justice. 90% of the time, though, the sign is about harmony, balance, and justice. Well, the information that's coming from Libra is where it's not in harmony, where it's not in balance, and where there is no justice being served. And this is also the 7th house of relationships when we're looking at it from a universal standpoint. Now, remember, if I was doing your own personal astrology, that may change your houses around. So it may make situations shift a little, but the energy is still the same on a universal scale. And everybody technically has 5 charts running at any given time. So that universal energy is still part of your charts. You have to remember, you have that daily activity where it goes through the sun's energy on a daily basis when you're born. You know, you have the sun, which technically is traveling through every 2 hours, I believe, a sign. Then, so that's why you have Cancer in every day. You have Scorpio in every day. You have Moon. You have Scorpio, Capricorn, Pisces in every day. It's the movement of the day. Then you have the movement of the universal, which is a monthly, but it always starts with Aries. Then you have your sun sign, and what would your charts be from that direction? You have your moon sign, what would your charts be from that direction? And then you have your ascending, and what would they be from that direction? So at any given time, you have 5 charts that is running for you. So on one form or another, on the astrology level, the universal energy is definitely exactly what I'm speaking about. But then when it starts to match up to what is going on in your personal charts. With that being said, you have the new moon in Libra, which is relationships. And I've been saying for the last 3 years, since before 2020, that relationships. And I hate to say it. I know, like, I'm sounding like a Debbie Downer. A lot of these relationships were not meant to last. They were not in proper alignment. You are not in proper alignment in many places. I was saying, for so many of us, we are learning. I stole it from Alice in Wonderland, from the movie Alice in Wonderland, when, you know, she's a little older. I think she's a teenager. She goes back, and the Mad Hatter is like, well, when you were here as a child, you were just so much more muchier. When we are young, we're braver. We haven't been beaten down by society and life. We had more charisma, more imagination, more willing to try, and who cares if I fall down and get hurt? I'm going to do it. But as we get older, we lose that muchierness. And when we lose that muchierness, we are losing fragments, fractals, parts of ourself. It's like we're burying them. We're putting them in the closet. We're hiding them away. We forgot there's pieces of us that are so genuinely awesome that we are not using. And we need to make sure we're getting right with our inner, genuine, soulful awesomeness, fire, your muchierness. Are you feeling it? Are you bringing it back to life? Are you breathing it back to life? Are you in alignment with who you truly are? And then, is the relationships in alignment with that? That's what I mean by a lot of these relationships weren't that they were doomed to fail, but they were running on an operation, a program, an idea of the world that used to be, the society you used to know. You are starting to come into more soulfulness, more heart, more authenticity than you have ever understood. And as you start to be more authentic in who and what you are, your vibration is going to change. Your authenticity is going to change. Your ideas of what is necessary, what is acceptable, what is good in these relationships are going to change. And then, are you in proper alignment? It's not saying that the people you have loved does not mean you cannot continue to be with them. It's saying, are you guys on the same frequency? Because you can't grow if you keep going back down to try to pull somebody up. I heard once before that it was a shaman thing that was being said to me. And it was like, we're out at the river, and for some reason we're constantly having to pull people out of the water. They keep falling in the water. Well, you can constantly stand right there and continuously pull people out of the water and save them over and over and over and over again. Or you can go down and find out why they're falling in the water and fix it so they stop falling in the water. I have said 1,000,000 times that I'm not just about money. I mean, I do charge because it's my time. It's my life. I'm not going to sit with every single one of you for free every single day. Love you, but I have to have my time in my life too. But if I'm doing my job right, eventually you won't need me. And this is what I mean. You got to go back sometimes and find out why people keep falling in the water so that you can fix it. The new moon in Libra is about the relationships with yourself and the outer world. Not to mention, in the next few days, that sun is going to go over Haumea, even though it was just a new moon. New moons are about new beginnings, setting new directions, breathing life into something new, allowing the belief of that to start to resonate and take form. All right? But Haumea is one of those dwarf planets, and its biggest message is the lotus flower. I can't say this enough. The lotus flower is one of the biggest spiritual messages we have on our spirituality, our soulfulness. And it speaks to you of the growth of the lotus flower. The lotus flower, one of the most highest spiritually evolved plants that we use for the idea, grows in a freaking swamp. It grows in some of the nastiest water ever. It's like swampland, marsh, nass, funk. Okay? And then it eventually breaks through the water, out of the swamp, to where it's a little bit above, a little bit below. It's seeing a little bit of the air and the light, as well as the mucky, nasty swampland that it grows in. And eventually it stretches up and it becomes the most beautiful flower. So where are you on this growth? Are you still stuck in the swamp? Can you see any light? Can you believe in it? Is all that you're focused on is the swamp that is in front of you? Or are you able to bypass the swamp, stretch, and be bobbing up and down? There is light. I keep having to jump higher, like on a trampoline, and I'll get higher. Or are you finally stretched out of the swamp and you're blooming? Where are you? your Libra new moon before we come to a solar eclipse next month, Halloween, Samhain time, passing the full blood moon, you're being put in the direction of, are you examining this right? Are you getting on the right page now? Are you in the swamp within these relationships? Are you seeing the light? Is there light? Can there be light in the relationships? Or do you need to use that trampoline energy and jump right out of the swamp and into the light and start something new? Where are you on your growth? It's the biggest thing about understanding that mature-ness, that authenticity, and being able to truly, soulfully, from the heart, grow what you want to grow in your life. Then grow it outwardly with the people, the places, the things that you are part of. So it's part of examining that. With that, today also marked in Jewish religion, Rosh Hashanah. And it's not every day that I bring up the different cultures, the different spirituality, the different mythologies. I do step into them depending on where I'm directed. But for some reason, last year and this year, Rosh Hashanah have really been like a smackdown when it comes time for me to do these readings and the energies. And maybe it's because it's helping people to understand and resonate with what the vibrational energy is versus how people look at Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, I'm going to get my notes out here. For one, is the beginning of the year. It is also the judgment day, according to their religion and the way that they see things. It's a Jewish holiday. But it also marks a 10-day period leading up to their most holiest of days. Now, remember, it's not going to be a 10-day. We will be going into a full moon, which we will then present to show exactly what work you have done. But the 10-day period is marking that judgment. It is repentance. It's the call of repentance, of understanding it within yourself, of of looking at the life that you lead, and is that the life you want? Honestly, digging deep, getting like gritty in the gut of the soul of who and what you are. And it's asking you, to look to set things right for what may have happened in the past. Meaning, is it possible to set it right? To correct what you have done or what someone else has done that's wronged you. This is a time of forgiveness, a time of repentance, so that you can move into a sweeter life, becoming more holy within yourself and allowing some of those ego things that are more dingy, just like the lotus flower grows originally from the swamp. I say it all the time. It's part of the hollow bone. It's part of the shaman work of where I always say it's like the Shawshank Redemption. At the end of the movie, he had to travel through a river of shit to come out on the other side clean. This is saying, are you letting go of the weight that you've been carrying from where you've wronged somebody, where you haven't been as honorable as you should have been? This is repentance, making it right within yourself as well as with the others, and then the forgiveness as well that comes. But like I was saying, today Spirit is reminding me left and right, are you still trying to correct and rise from an area that's unrisable? And do you need to move into a different direction altogether, or is it something that you can rise in? And examining that and the truth of your muchierness, and if you're able to get into the grid, that gritty gut inside of you, knowing it's your bigness. Are you able to connect with that? That's going to have a lot to tell you if you're on the right path or if pieces have to be corrected. Now, with that being said, like I said, you're moving to, it's not just the full moon. This one is the moon cycle, and we're going to an eclipse energy, which means major shifts and changes. And the more that you're in depth with yourself right now, the more that you're raw with yourself right now and real with what you truly desire from the depths of your soul, and you trust in yourself, the more ahead you're going to get for what's going to be coming with the eclipse energy, forcing you to get on the right path. Because trust me, as that eclipse energy comes in, it's going to force a lot of changes that people are not prepared for because they're too busy looking the other direction, ignoring it. I'm sorry, y'all know that I'm just blunt and that's the way it goes. Now, with that being said, let me go into the blueprint and help you know a little bit about what's going on with the body. I rewrote, for those of you who are new, I rewrote Astrological Anatomy last year. I had it approved and legalized. So I call it the Starlight Code Blueprints. If anybody's individually interested in their own, it helps you to know how to keep yourself more high vibrational, how to up your vibrations by understanding what your body is trying to teach you within the chakras, the planetary energies, the rulerships of those chakras, of those planets, those organs, and how you can ultimately be sabotaging your own health by lacking the understanding of what it's trying to teach you according to the lesson set in your blueprint. Now, that is, each and every one of us have our own individual blueprint. But on a universal scale, you have the blueprint of what we all have and the transiting energy that's taking place right now. Most of these energies haven't been moving very quickly simply because everybody's all up in retrograde. Sorry, my sweater here is falling off. And so it's been moving slowly, but that's also not just that it's moving slowly and it sounds like I'm saying the same thing over and over again. It's really talking to you about digestion. And I mean digestion in the way of your food, yes, but you digest energies. You, as an empath, people, so many of you are learning to understand energy, to feel energy, and that's being an empath. And before you move into mediumship, you have to start understanding the empath energy. You're not just picking up energy from other people. You are actually inhaling it and digesting it. You're consuming it. And why do you think half of America is overweight? Because we consume it. We've been told to bottle that up and hold it down. And we digest it and we aren't releasing it. We're not letting it go. We're just carrying it around in our gut. But we're not removing it in the waste properly. It's getting caught in our blockages in each chakras. And a lot of this is happening to do with the emotional indifferences in our root chakra, our sacral chakra, and our solar plexus. How you feel about yourself, how you feel about yourself in the relationships, how secure and safe do you feel about yourself, how secure and safe do you feel in this three-dimensional world, and do you believe in yourself? Do you believe in the I am? Do you believe in the power of I can? Do you believe in your inner Merlin, your inner starlight? And this is a foundation. You cannot move forward if you have ill bones. This is about making sure we have good bones for good foundations, for good strength, for good relationships. And I've been saying, I'm going to work backwards again. Your feet, you have Neptune in retrograde. Your very magic is in retrograde. If you are continuously doing the same thing repetitively, that's not working for you, watch how much you'll start stubbing your toes. Watch how much you'll trip over your own ankles. When you're going too fast and you get caught on something, typically that's the feet's way of holding on to the three-dimensional world and keeping you in the same program. But your soulfulness is going, no, 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 no. And that's when the trip up happens. Same thing is somewhat of happening with your ankles and your calves. Because you have Saturn here, which is your rules, your walls, your boundaries, the ability to be able to create from being able to believe by setting the foundation to do so. So are you tripping up? Are you tripping over your ankles? Are you twisting your ankles? Are you tripping or hitting your toes? A lot of this has a lot to do with if you're not making your soulfulness is trying to slow you down and get your attention to not make the same mistakes. And these energies are not moving anytime soon. They're all in retrograde, so they're trying to tell you when you're in your head too much. You have the knees, which is all about jealousy, inadequacy, inferiority, feeling pushed around, being confused and not completely understanding. the lack of that support, because jealousy is ultimately the lack of support, the lack of belief. You think that somebody else has something better than you. And the knees, do the knees give out? Do you not believe in yourself? If your knees are giving out on you, it's a good, sure sign that your soul is saying, hey, believe in yourself more. This is where you're starting to doubt yourself and make you fall. None of these are going to be moving anytime soon. Now, throughout the end of this year, they will come out of retrograde, but none of those are going to be moving. What is moving is the sun right now has just jumped into Libra. And this week, it is directly on top of the kidneys, placing it in the Sacral Chakra. And I will say this a million times. The Sacral Chakra is not just sexual energy, and sexual energy is not just sex. It is about how you feel about yourself. It is ultimately when you look in the mirror and you're like, yes, I like who I am, I feel good. Or when you look in the mirror and you're like, ugh. And I use the sumo wrestler all the time, because you can't move into your I am, your powerful energy, when you don't have the courage to be there, because you don't feel it. You could be the biggest, fattest sumo wrestler in the whole wide world, walking around in a diaper, and if you feel good about you, then everybody else can fuck right off. But if you don't feel good about you, then you're going to be insecure. No matter if you're the biggest, fattest, or the most skinniest anorexic. It's up to you to feel good about you. What do you need to do to feel good about you? Bringing out your inner RuPaul, your inner drag queen, your inner muchierness. What is it going to do to help you to feel good and secure with yourself? Because that's where the sacral chakra starts to shine and strengthen the solar plexus and go, I am, I can, I believe, yes, I am the one in the power here. And giving you back that power, but you can't reclaim it if you can't get to your munchierness. If you can't get back to your feeling, that depth of you. And that's where confidence is built, from feeling it and getting yourself the acceptance that, like I said, as a child, we were more curious, more ready to go out and play before the world started beating you down. So this is about stop letting the world dictate it. Remember who you are. Breathe her back into life, or him. Sacral chakra is who you are in the relationship with yourself. How you feel about yourself, then how you feel about the relationships that you are part of, and how secure you feel about yourself. Because this has to do with finding inner emotional security, not outer emotional security. When you are in your power, when you are in that security, nothing can make you, I mean, somebody can stand in your face and be, making you feel bad, trying to dictate to you. But when you're in your power, there's nothing they can do. It's your bigness. It's your holiness. It's your, go right ahead, talk as much shit as you want. I'm still the one that's the shit over here, It's reclaiming it. Kidneys. If your lower back and kidneys are hurting, it's a sure sign that your blueprint is saying something here is missing. The sun illuminates what is positive as well as what is ego. It is not just, the good luck sign. The sun's job is to illuminate what's going on in the solar plexus, in the kidney energy. And the kidney energy has a lot to do with all of this digestion and how we are removing waste, what no longer serves us, not just the body, but emotionally and mentally. As you move up, your Mercury, which is still in retrograde, and your Venus is literally on the liver and the abdominal energies. This is how we clean out the blood. How we clean out the blood, and we make sure that the bile is getting to where it needs to so it can be removed. So are you separating? Are you examining the right things? This is all lower back energy, people. This is talking about your sacral chakra and your solar plexus and the planetary energy of how you communicate. Are you overly sensitive? Because Venus is not love. Venus speaks to you about, as far as the body goes, your emotions, your physical body, your emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical. It tells you when something is good to you. It tells you how to speak it and caress it and get what you want. It teaches you what you like and why you want more of it. But it also warns you about who lied to you, who betrayed you. And that's why it hurts so bad. Venus is your sensitivity. And you're talking about your sensitivity going through your liver, through your abdominal energy, and then coming into, leading into the kidneys, the intestines, and all of the digestion. What are you digesting? Are you digesting energies, bringing in, breathing into your body healthiness, or are we having to examine and reteach our brain how to think and breathe in healthy energy? You have Lilith, which is not comfortable in Cancer, moving incredibly slow. In Cancer, the universal fourth house of the home, the security, the inner emotional security of who and what you are, she tends to give all that energy away. This is where she's submissive. This is the wrong place to be in your soul fire, just giving that shit away. Because we have people who will just take it and have no respect or no love for you. If you can't love you first, you can't be a good energy of giving of that love. You have to be able to respect yourself, love yourself, and have the energy to give. This is not the time to be submissive. And it's on the pancreas, going literally into the digestion and opening it up to the juices that have to be removed. So this is speaking about the inner turmoil, the inner tug of war in your mind of right and wrong, soulful and ego. Trust your gut. Your gut is telling you if you're messing up, quite literally. And then as you come out of it, you're going back into Uranus and the North Node's been in the lymph nodes for almost a month now, which is also putting it directly on the zeal point, which opens it up to, are you opening yourself up to psychic attack or not? Because the zeal point is what protects you from psychic attack when you're asleep. When you're awake and become awakened, it's your responsibility to understand the energies and to know how to deal with them. So are you spiritually evolving and growing and learning how to deal with them or not? This is part of the lymph nodes, and having a problem with the neck and the back shoulders and the back of the head pain. All of that has to do with, not all of it, but a lot of it has to do with the North Node right now and the South Node. The North Node and Uranus in retrograde and your head talking to you about where you're having problems expressing your freedom, expressing and creating your freedom, your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, where you doubt yourself. And then you have Chiron, which is on the frontal lobe, and Jupiter, which is more or less still in the third eye. So, and they're all in retrograde as well. So this is saying more or less is it's test time. Can you believe in you? Can you pull yourself out of that slump? If you were the lotus flower, are you going to keep growing and stretching, or will you give up? When we get into the actual astrology this week, we move out of the blueprint, because that was just the blueprint. I was just talking about the body there. When we get into the actual energy, you do have some positive energies. Pluto, which is in the 10th house on a universal scale, the outer world, your honor, your reputation, your prestige, your career, but it is also the social arena. It is also how society rules and has authority over your life or not, according to the power of you. And if you're in your power. And Pluto is getting along great with that Virgo energy, with Mercury in retrograde and Venus. The thing is it getting along great, showing you the sensitivity of where you're making mistakes because it's trying to push you in the right direction and make you uncomfortable enough to where you make changes? Or is it getting along great because you're using that sensitivity, you're listening to that soulfulness, you're listening to the tug of war, and you're realizing where to stop entertaining it? The 6th house is all of your daily routine tasks. Your mundane is the most powerful thing at manifesting. And the reason it is because absolutely nothing about the mundane is mundane. The reason it's mundane is you do it so repetitively, you don't realize how important it is. However, the repetitive action is what the manifestation is growing off of. I talk to people all the time and they're like, well, I'm positive. No, you're not. And hold on, because I get people who all the time are like, I think I'm a positive person, but yet is 2 minutes away from me, is standing there bitching and moaning about, traffic, bitching and moaning about this person, bitching and moaning about that person. Are you truly positive? Are you truly seeing the higher vibration here? Or are you just telling yourself that you're positive on the things that matter to you, but on the mundane, your typical thinking, your typical actions, your typical, everyday routine, people, places, and things? How positive is it? It is your Mercury retrograde in these energies being a little self-centered, a little narcissistic, because it's retrograde Mercury. Communication. Communication is not happening well outwardly right now. It happens great inside, and in fact, it's overly happening. And Venus is your sensitivity. So it's telling you when it's uncomfortable for a reason. Pluto is showing you where that much of yourness is being forgotten, and where you're giving more power and energy to other people versus are you stepping into that much of yourness and you're making sure that your daily routines, those mundane tasks, are working for you, those people, places, and things. If it supports your growth, if it truly is something that is serving you or not, you're being given the sensitivity of understanding exactly what is, like as if you were a kitty cat, stroking the cat and making the cat feel good, or where you're actually self-sabotaging but not doing anything about it. So it's a very positive thing, but it may come in painful energy showing you what you have to do. Neptune is getting along great with Lilith, which is getting along great with the South Node. Now, see, that's a positive energy, but also a very negative energy. Because you have Neptune, which is in retrograde. You can create anything you want, but if you're creating the same cycle again, because Neptune is magic and illusion. It is also where fantasy smacks you in the face with harsh-ass reality. Going, no, let me show you what's really going on. Come out of La La Land. Because that's what Neptune is, especially in retrograde. In retrograde and Pisces, Neptune wants to put their rose-colored glasses on and live their perfect little life. And then when you take the rose glasses off and Neptune's no longer in retrograde, it's like, holy crap, what happened here? This is saying you could create your own reality, but you have to be responsible for what you're creating, because we're talking to Lilith in the universal fourth house, where it's submissive. Are you giving it all away, or are you holding on to your independence? Are you showing your independence? Lilith is normally a good ally for fire, a good ally for just enough ego to keep you straight, to love yourself. You were put on this planet for a reason, or you brought yourself back to this planet for a reason. Are you living up to that reason? Are you discovering that reason? Are you discovering who you are? Or are you giving more of your time, effort, and energy away and missing the point? See, because that is talking to the South Node. The South Node is everything that you're good at, but it don't serve you. It's the perfect lie. It's the perfect lack of rebirth. It's the perfect, I'm comfortable in my uncomfortable zone because I know it. This is a time of stepping out into the great wide open and see what happens. This is a time of being courageous, a time of taking the chance and figuring out who you are. You're not going to know who you are until you fall and go, well, you know what, I don't really like that, so we won't do that anymore. But, or that was weird and strangely enough, I'm interested, but this is opening up the rules, the walls, the boundaries to the relationships, to the exploration of finding yourself in newer, healthier relationships, new or changing relationships. What makes you tick? Are you guys on the same frequency? Or is it the same old, I'm used to this comfort zone, so therefore I'm not really going to make any changes because I know I'm safe here. But are you safe and happy? Happy. That's the key. Mars is also getting along great with Saturn. Mars is your inner warrior, your inner courage, your inner communication in Gemini of Jekyll and Hyde. So this is giving you logic and emotion. Giving you the problem with Gemini, every sign has a positive and a negative. The twins have theirs. Gemini is typically all logical or all emotional. You're supposed to be in balance. Yin, yang. Masculine, feminine. Are you allowing balance there? Is it all logical or is it all emotional? You need to have a balance in here. This is also your Mars, your warrior, your passion, your action. This means, for one, this means meditation so that you are balanced. You are truly allowing your heart to talk, not just your head, and that you're honestly listening to what's going on here. And it's speaking with Saturn as well as Vista. Vista holds the keys. That's what Vista is known for. She holds the keys to unlocking the doors. And she's in the 11th house of Saturn. 11th house with Saturn. Saturn for me in retrograde means, hey, an Aquarius Saturn for me means I'm actually willing to try something new. Saturn is rules, walls, and boundaries. Saturn doesn't do anything fast and easy, but in Aquarius it's willing to take a chance, and the keys are in the taking of the chance, of the communication, of the balanced logic going on with inside of yourself so that you can bring it back to the outer world, because the 11th house is also the outer world, your groups, your memberships, and what ultimately is your backbone support that helps grow your goals, your dreams, and ambitions, because it takes a team. It takes a village. Nobody can do everything all by themselves. So do you have the right village supporting you? Are you giving the right communication? Are you honestly understanding what it is you want and you need? And are you shifting to make sure you're getting the right keys? Like I said, it's very positive energies here, but you do have to work for them. They're not just being handed out. You do have a T-square that's been lasting for almost a month now, which T-squares are working against you. And the fact of what it is it's very challenging energy. It's not easy to overcome. And that's Saturn and Vista, the keys, the rules, the walls, the boundaries, the groups, the memberships, the goals, the ambitions, having the right people, places, and things in play, is not getting along with you knowing who you are, you stepping into your independence. It's getting along better with giving that independence away because Uranus is in retrograde with the North Node. So the throat chakra, instead of speaking up and saying what you want and believing in yourself, I will say 1,000,000 times with Uranus in retrograde, but Uranus mainly in Taurus, this is asking you, are you in your power? Are you the independent discoverer of yourself? Are you the one who is holding your power, or have you given your power to someone else? Because it's the second house, which also speaks of possessions. So are you ultimately somebody else's possession? Like the trophy wife? Or worse, because we are talking about Halloween time, Samhain, we are talking about that energy. This is independently exploring yourself, speaking it, believing it. This is where manifestation takes place. It's the second house. This is coming into the power of yourself, speaking to that Saturn, that outer world, that outer authority, the groups and the memberships, and having the keys to you being able to find yourself by willing to explore yourself. And none of that is getting along with the South Node, meaning it's a little easier to just stick with what I've always known. It's not meant to be easy. Why do you think in every fairy tale, it always looks like the good guy's gonna lose? Because it's harder to be positive. It's harder to stay believing when the chips are down. It's easier to become the villain and to want to let go of all of this other stuff or to give up on yourself. This is saying independently you have the power. But if you don't claim it, you don't believe in taking the chance, finding that much of yourness and breathing life into it, then that outer world will dictate to you exactly what it wants and you'll give it. So if you don't want that, because like I said, it's a challenge that's been going on for a month now. This is seeing just how much balls you do have to be the absolute glorious you. But can you find you? You have Libra. The sun is now in Libra. But you have Mercury and Venus still within 10 degrees of the sun all week as it moves. So it's technically in Virgo. The sun's technically in Libra. And they're not getting along with the North Node. They're not getting along with, they're not getting along with, oh, that's why I'm looking in the wrong place. They're not getting along with Neptune, and they're not getting along with Jupiter. And both of those are in retrograde. One is in the 12th house, one is in the 1st house. So you're illuminating a lot of the 12th house. The 12th house is your grief, sorrow, shame, blame. It's the insecurities and the healing that hasn't taken place. What we like to sweep under the rug. The skeletons in the closet. If I don't really have to believe in it, I can forget about it, then it's okay. No, it's not. It's where the skeletons start falling out and going, no, you're going to have to deal with me. And the 1st house is going, this is the new cycle. Are you going to deal with it? Or are you going to start pushing everything you can back into that closet and hope nobody ever opens it? This is creating a new cycle, creating a new magic, breathing energy into it. And it's not getting along with this relationship you have with yourself, with the communication that you're having with yourself, with your mundane tasks. It is saying on a spiritual and soulful level, relationships with ourselves and relationships with our peers, our friends, our loved ones, anybody you care about, you have a relationship with. You have a relationship with your money. When you have no money, you know all about the lack of that relationship. When you have no roof over your head, you know all about the lack of that relationship with your job and with your security. Anything you care about, you have a relationship with. It is touching base on sensitivity, inner emotional security, and how you communicate with yourself, your daily routines, your relationship with yourself as well as others, the depths of what a relationship means to you, 3-dimensionally or more. And then it's directly talking to the 12th house and the 1st house. What do you continue to do over and over and over again that doesn't serve you, but that you know too well, so you keep sticking to doing the same kind of things versus having the courage to abundantly make the shift, make the stepping forward? Chiron and Jupiter are here. Jupiter is the higher knowledge, the higher abundance, giving you all the blessings of the positive energy that it can, even though it's in retrograde, by understanding where you're working against yourself. And Chiron's where you're working against yourself in your own healing, where you're not giving yourself the chance to start over. Are you listening to what your gut's telling you? Neptune is not getting along with Mars either. It's not getting along with your inner communication, with your siblings, with your groups, with anything that's up and close and personal, with your taking action, your passion, your breathing fire into it, logically, not just emotionally, meaning are you coming from a balanced state of mind? A good warrior knows how to go in, approach the situation, come out and still be alive, not lose his head and start pulling out the knife and start just sword fighting and getting himself killed without any skills. This is talking to you about skills. This is talking to you about using your magical touch to believe in yourself and Finesse that communication into working for you. Anything up close and personal, but action must be taken. Chiron is not getting along with Lilith. Again, giving your power away. And losing your inner emotional security. This is not the time to be submissive. This is the time for truly examining what you are, what you feel, and understanding where you have to be upfront and honest with others. Like I said, Rosh Hashanah, it's the 10 days of attunement, the 10 days of judgment, the 10 days of ascension. You're being given it to do the work. As you enter the cycle before we come into an eclipse. You also have Pluto, who's not getting along with Lilith. And I can't say enough that my guide reminds me over and over again. Pluto stands for lack of better words, though I walk through the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, because I already am. I am. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. So stop giving yourself away. Start believing in yourself. And let your muchiness shine. I'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.